Okay. I've played Starfield for about 6 hours, and I just want to share some of my thoughts about the game, just because I thought it'd be interesting. So, going into this, I've been a fan of Bethesda for a very long time because I like Skyrim, and I also enjoyed Fallout 4. I also enjoyed Fallout New Vegas, although I know it's not made by them. I like it so much that I actually tried the Outer Scroll Online, but eventually I realized it's too much of a MMO. Like there's too many MMO things in there that I didn't like, so I eventually stopped. But Starfield has been one of the games I've been looking forward to. Because not only do I like Bethesda, I actually also really like space games. One of my favorite series of all time is Mass Effect, and I also really enjoyed Obsidian's The Outer Worlds. So I was quite curious to see how Bethesda would tackle a space adventure, and Starfield is what they presented and what I think. So after about 5 6 hours, um, here are my unedited thoughts. So I think first of all, the game looks very good. I think the graphics are actually quite nice, quite a big leap from previous generations. I had very minimal mods for Starfield. I only had like a UI mod and a asset graphics mod, and this game looks way better than Skyrim or Fallout 4, despite me having a lot more mods on Skyrim and Fallout 4, and also runs a lot better. So I think in that aspect they made a big improvement, and I'm very happy to see. And I think it's actually a quite good platform for mods because apparently, obviously, the engine is better, is more efficient, to be able to handle, uh, you know, more highly detailed scenes much easier. But it does look like people are not nearly as interested in modding for Starfield than something like Elder Scrolls. So that's first thing that's good. And second thing, I feel like the gameplay's improved a lot. I think for Bethesda games, a lot of time, and their game's been known for good exploration and RPG potential. One of my favorite things to do in Elsker and Fallout is honestly just running around and looking at the world and seeing what kind of scene and context and world they've built. I really like the Boston they built in Fallout 4. I really like the Tamriel, not Tamriel, but like the Skyrim province they built in Skyrim. And a lot of their fun in the game is being immersed as a character, role playing, an adventure in the world they build up. And not so much the combat, the gameplay, because Skyrim gameplay is not good just because your melee gameplay, you're just a very bad animation. It doesn't feel like you're hitting anything. Magic gameplay is fine, Archer is fine, but nothing too crazy. The Fallout 3 though I haven't played a lot. I played a little bit. It also has weak gameplay with New Vegas too. Um, and For Fallout 4 they improved a lot on the gameplay, but it does I feel like come at the cost of um what do you call it, the role playing potential. Just because a lot of because the quest system and how the perks works, and you aren't able to tackle quest in many ways anymore. It's more linear. And I feel like it's kind of the same story here, but in a continuation of Fallout 4, in that I feel like the game plays a lot better. It's actually the first game where I feel like, oh, the gunplay feels very smooth. It feels like it feels like a proper shooter. It feels like a proper first-person shooter. Which is something I didn't expect because typically gameplay in Bethesda game sucks. So that's something I really enjoyed. But at the same time, I also feel like the story didn't grab me as much. Um, it doesn't feel like there's a very big stake of like world-ending threat or something going on. But it's only after 6 hours, so we'll see. But it does. if you look back to like Skyrim and Fallout 4, none of them has super high stake initially either. You're sort of just in a prison, you're released, and you're wandering this land. And the land is super interesting. But for me here, it doesn't feel as much of. I'm not as in awe of the world this built. I don't feel as eager to explore. Um, I can't quite put my finger on why, but there's a couple things that did distract me from the experience. One is how similar this game is to past Bethesda's game, not in a good way, in that the NPC are kind of derpy, and like there are also some archaic game design. For instance, like the NPCs, if you talk to NPCs, if they're seated or they're lying down, they had to get up. They have to stand up before they can talk to you. That's just kind of weird. I mean, that's just I feel like kind of unnecessary. It's an old game mechanic. There's also something people talk a lot about, which is you need to uh, like there's a lot of loading screens between zones, or if you're getting in and out of the house, this is a loading screen. So that also kind of breaks the immersion. Um, yeah, so those are, and also the NPCs, the facial animation is not very good. The also, I mean, honestly, the body animation, the gestures, it doesn't stack up as well. Now, they are a lot better than the previous Bethesda game. I'd say they're a lot more natural, but it doesn't stack up to the games I've played recently, or honestly, they came out a long time ago. Like for instance, I think like Witcher 3 animation are so much better than this. And Witcher 3 came out in 2015. And I would say Cyberpunk has a lot better animations. I'd say like there are so many games that has much better animation that are in the same similar sort of type of game. Like I think God of War, like all these things, Last of Us. So that thing definitely takes me put me out a little bit, just because it reminds me of the old Bethesda game. It reminds me that it is a game. It's harder to immerse myself, and also there are some bugs where, typically, in typical Bethesda fashion, where you're talking to someone and they're like NPC walking around in the background, and someone will just bump to the people you're talking to, and they get bugged out. They start like shaking and just like teleporting in and out of existence. So that definitely taken me out of the game as well. I mean, it's kind of comedic, but at the same time, I kind of wish, they can polish the game up a little more. So, yeah. So in conclusion, I think, I can see why a lot of people are criticizing the game. Now, I did play it after like a long time. So that's how I play the game usually. So I usually don't play game release because I want them to be bug free. I want them to have all the DLCs and updates they will need. Um, and despite that, I can still see a lot of flaws in the game. Um, and yeah, one particular thing I didn't enjoy was the exploration. So there's these survey missions that some faction will give you, and from what I understand, you just need to use your scanners to scan a planet and then go into the planet, land on the planet, and then scan the biomes, then the minerals and land. And it's not that fun. Like it has a lot of running around looking for things, and especially because there are a lot of, I think, the zones that are far apart from each other. That would take you like a minute to run to, and there's like absolutely nothing to see during the minute you're running between the deposits, and that definitely seemed like an oversight in game design, which is I think why they later on added the buggy to allow you to essentially use a car to traverse the planet surface. um but yeah, but this is one of those cases where I'm like, if they allowed like some playtesting external playtester to play it, or um they would have definitely caught it. Like, because this is just unbelievably boring. Like, because you're literally just running around with a scanner trying to find what's new, and you have no idea where it is. You're just running and trying to see if you luck into one, and there's nothing to see on the way. You know, and in previous entries, the fun is always like because you have a very interesting world you're running in, and whenever the quest asks you to go from point A to point B, there's like 10 interesting things you run into. Uh, but here, especially on those planets, there's nothing interesting on the planets, and so yeah, so I definitely see why people didn't like it, and I also didn't like that aspect. Um, yeah, so that's my thought after playing 5 6 hours of Starfield. I'll continue, and I think I'll probably finish. There's a lot of interesting system too. I like I like the gun modification. I like the gameplay. I like the potential they have with the ship customizations. A lot of things I still haven't explored yet. But overall, it's a modern take on Bethesda game. But I feel like they've left some of their strength in the past in terms of world exploration. Mm, but they also earned. They made the game better gameplay wise, which would be an interesting trade off. But we'll see how it goes. So that'll be it for now. See ya.